later. So let's talk about a few things right now, man. So right now I want to talk about something. So yesterday, between Monday, right? Monday, Apple was still worth $2 trillion, right? As of now, Apple is now worth $900 billion. For sure, Jada and Jada Trader, salute. Apple is now worth $900 billion. That means it lost 1.1 in market cap, right? 1.1 in market cap. So what is market cap, right? So market cap is how much a business is worth, how much the stock price times all the shares that a business have. So when you take the company's stock price times the shares, that gives you the market cap, right? So if I had 10 shares of Wallstreet, from the Trappin Wallstreet, and it was worth $10 a share, right? So that $10 a share times 10 would give my business $100 market cap, right? So when that market cap, if that stock price went up to $20, then I would have a $200 market cap. But if the stock price went from $10 to $5, then I would have a $50 market cap. So we definitely need to understand. That so we can understand what's going on. Now, this is what I want us to understand in situations like this, right? A lot of times, if you buy a business, so I know a lot of us jumped in and, we bought the Apple, right? And so one of the things I got to start doing is realizing that everybody doesn't have the mental fortitude and the emotional fortitude that I have when it comes to the market. That comes with experience, right? And I'm not saying that everybody can't attain it, but just my experience in going through different things in the market, that gives me an advantage in a way than new investors. So I want to apologize too. When I told people to buy Apple, I was saying, and I want y'all to understand this, buy Apple if you just split, right? If you don't understand, it's split, buy it at 124. Cool, buy it. But what I also said was, listen, if you buy it at 124 and it goes down, you just buy some more. Right? You just buy some more, right? What happens is this. We need to understand how this game is played, right? One of the things I often say to people is when sheep run with wolves, they get ate. You feel me? When sheep run with wolves, they get ate. So you got to understand the difference between those dips and when you see buying opportunities, right? So what I did, let me just tell y'all what I did. And the reason why I said that was because even though the stock split, right? Even though the stock went from 500 to 125, the value was still the same. The value was still the same. Now, prior to Apple splitting, I literally had told my trappers like, yo, I'm not buying no more Apple stock because I feel like it's overbought at this time. So when it went down to 125, I had told my travelers before the split, I said, well, if you go down to 125, I kind of can't turn that down. You know what I'm saying? I kind of can't turn that down because I knew in my mind that the people from Robinhood and everything was going to buy into the stock and that it was going to run. But the fundamentals told me that Apple was a great business. And this what puts us in position to understand how to make great investments is understand the fundamentals of the business, understanding the core product of the business, understanding the CEO of the business. So what I want us to understand is this. We have to understand the value of a business from a broader spectrum, right? So we got to ask ourselves this, right? So this is what we know. We know that Apple has been increasing. So this is one of the things a lot of people did. A lot of people bought Apple without even doing the research on it. They were like, okay, everybody gonna buy, so I'm gonna buy it, right? Which was the wrong thing to do. For me, I needed to understand, I gotta start thinking that everybody just fundamentally sound. And I gotta understand that my platform is teaching people fundamentals, right? I gotta understand that my platform is teaching people and gaming people how to be great investors. Right, and I think my Trappers Anonymous community, they kind of spoiling me because they already be in depth. They already be ready. So this is what we have to do. We got to ask ourselves this question. If we buy Apple at 125, here's one of the things we got to have what's called principles of investing, right? I want y'all to write this down. We got to have principles of investing. And we got to ask ourselves certain questions before we make investments, right? So one of the things I do is I have these rules, RULES, Write it down. It's an acronym. I always have these rules before I invest. So one of the things, the first letter for me is the aura, like the reason. Why am I investing in this business? Okay, so the reason why I'm investing in this business because one of the things I know is Apple has a great CEO in Tim Cook. I always said I feel like Tim Cook is a better CEO than Steve Jobs. Taking away nothing for Steve Jobs, but Steve Jobs was a great innovator, but he wasn't a great CEO. He was a great innovator. Don't get me wrong. One of the best CEOs when it comes to innovation of all time, right? But what happened was Tim Cook is more diplomatic, right? Tim Cook knows how to position that business. He knows how to transition that business, right? Which was made me realize that's why Steve Jobs put him there in the first place, right? As a successor, right? So one of the things right there is this. The aura, why am I here? Because Apple has a great CEO. 2, Apple has a large moat. What is a moat? A moat is what separates your business from its competitors, right? A moat is what separates the business from its competitors. I'm going to be real. People say Samsung is a better phone. I always say this simple thing. I've never seen people wrapped around a corner to buy Androids. Nothing against Samsung, but I've never seen people wrapped around a corner to buy Androids. I've always seen people wrapped around the corners to buy Apple. Every city you go to, you see, in every Apple store you go to, you will see a line to get there. You damn got to make reservations to get there. It's a competitive edge, right? Also, when you get inside of Apple's ecosystem, you damn near stuck there. Right? I'm talking to you on the iPhone right here. I got another iPhone right here. I got my iMac computer right here. My daughter got an iPad over there. I have an iMac, a 27-inch over there. I'm tapped into the Apple system. So now I damn near can't go nowhere else because I'm not going to get that type of, I'm going to be lost. So check this out. That's your opinion on Samsung, 100%. But I think it's a fact because for me, the fact is in the pudding. Apple has more users than Samsung. Apple has more, not only users on the iPhone, but users in their products than Samsung, right? That's a fact. That can't be denied. It's a fact. It's the reason why Google, think about this. It's the reason why Google, who is the home base of Android, pays Apple $9 billion a year so that those Apple users can be in the Google search engine. I'm just saying, if they felt like Android was that strong of a brand, they wouldn't pay Apple for that. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm just keeping it fact. I'm not giving my opinion here. I'm gonna just give fact. You feel me? Google pays Apple $9 billion a year so they can make sure Apple users are the biggest of people on the search engine. I'm just saying. Next thing I want to say is this. When it comes to being in the Google system, when it comes to being in the Google platform, you can almost leave Google and still be cool. A lot of people who get inside of the Apple ecosystem are stuck because it's an inconvenience for us to leave Apple and start all over again. Right? We're not talking about my opinion. I'm just speaking facts right here. Right? So once we understood that, right? Now we got to ask. So that's the reason, right? Right? The reason why I went there was that. The second reason is do you understand the business? Can you literally say before you make an investment that I understand this business? So when we going to ride the reason that we're here. Here's the reason that we're here. Number two is, do we understand the specific business that we are investing in? Right? Understand the business, understand the core product. Do we understand it? Right? The L is longevity. Do I see the business being here for the long term? Yes, I do see the business being here for the long term. Okay, so now we ask ourselves, what supports that statement? Do I see Apple being here for the long term? Okay, so now you got to come up. These are rules that you should write down. Why do I see them being here for the long run? One, because we already stated that because Apple users, right? Because once Apple users get inside of the Apple ecosystem, they kind of not going nowhere. Okay, that's one. Second, Apple has 190 billion, I think $200 billion in cash sitting on the side. Cool. So because they have $200 billion in cash sitting on the side, that tells me that they can withstand any economic downturn that comes around. It's only 3 businesses that have more money than Apple. I think 2 businesses now at this point. You feel what I'm saying? So, boom. 3, they have a great CEO. 200 billion strong. They have a great CEO. So, boom, I understand that business. And I see the longevity there, right? Boom. Do I understand the core product? Yes, I do. Right? So, which brings us to, so we said the aura, we said the U, you said the L. Now, we come with the E. Expand. Can this business expand without selling off assets or taking on more debt? Okay, let's ask ourselves, can we ask in that question? Yes, we can. How do we know they can? Because for one moment in time, what Apple did was they said we will no longer put the iPhones, right, on our earnings report. We will only show you about wearables and service. This was us showing us that they was expanding. What we noticed, if we looked at the last earnings call, we saw that Apple wearables and services has increased by 20%, almost catching up with iPhone sales. We know the iPhone is the main product, but are the other businesses that the business have increasing in profit? Of course they are. Then what we see, we saw Apple dropping, we see Apple getting into fintech almost with Apple Pay. Great. We see them expanding to do what? Apple TV, right? That's expansion, right? Great. We also see they're expanding when it comes to the App Store. This is a whole nother set of revenue where they're getting 30% of income, right, from any app developer that sells something on their platform. So we see the expanding. So now we asked ourselves this question, the aura, the reason that we're here. These are the rules that we need to understand before we invest in any company. The aura is the reason. We understand the reason. The U, understand. Do we understand the business? The L, longevity. Do we see the business being here for a long time? E, expansion. Do we see the business expanding without selling off assets or taking on more debt? And the last one was S, simplified. Is this a simple business for us to understand? 100% Apple is. Well, why is it a simple business? Okay, now everybody's form of simplicity is different. So when asking ourselves, is the business simple? We got to ask ourselves, can this business be simplified to me? And can I explain it to somebody? Yes. So if you ask me, Trapper, what is it you like about Apple? Cool. It's the #1 phone selling on the market. They have a great customer base. They have what's called value-based customers, right? They have lifelong and value-based customers. What did that mean? That means 8 out of every 10 people who buy Apple will not leave. Simple, right? It don't get no better than that. Another reason why this business is simple, they have $200 billion in cash sitting on the side. We can count on one hand the businesses that have $200 billion in cash sitting on the side. It's simple, right? So we need to ask ourselves these questions before we invest in the business. What are the rules? The aura, the U, the L, the E, the S. We need to understand these rules before we even invest in the business. That's one thing that we talked about, right? Next, what we need to understand is this before we invest in the business, right? If you buy a business on the stock market, first of all, we should never, ever, ever buy a business without doing the proper research, right? That's first and foremost. We should never go off because Ian, because Wallstreet Trapper, because Earn Your Leisure, because we should never buy a business because they say they like a business. One, we doing ourselves a disservice when we do that. One, because I don't know Wallstreet Trapper's risk tolerance. I don't know how far Trapper's willing to let that stock go down. Me, if I bought it at 130 for my daughter. That sucker can go all the way to $60 for me. I'ma just keep buying it down. So